Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Vanessa Horn, and I will be presenting to you a slideshow that I created for my English 091 class. First, we're going to start off with the transformation of an inactive reader to an active reader. Now, this class here, we learned about several things that's going to transform us from being an inactive reader to an active reader. So first, we're going to go ahead and go on our roadmap to reading, engage reading. There's 5 levels of thinking. The first thing we did was we acquired information or knowledge. Then we understood and comprehend. Then level 3, we applied knowledge. Level 4, we analyzed information. And level 5, we evaluated information. So the first level that we acquired information or knowledge, we use a concept called previewing. And previewing means to get an idea of what you're going to find out in a particular text, or in other words, it's the skill of learning about the text before you read it. Activating prior knowledge. Activating prior knowledge is important because it helps students connect the new information they will be learning by tapping into what they already know. Vocabulary connections. We learn to tackle unfamiliar words. First, we start off with previewing text. At first, I thought previewing text would be just a waste of time, that spending the extra 5 minutes was going to hurt me, but it did end up actually helping me because I was able to retain more information by previewing the text. So how do you preview text? Now, first, you're going to start by using a strategy called thieves. Yes, we're going to steal something. So which is an acronym for title, heading, introduction, every first sentence in a paragraph, visuals, vocabulary, and end of chapter questions. In summary, and the students are guided through their preview of a notification text. So now we're going to just go through what we're showing here. We're going to just glance over the actual title. We're going to look at any images, read the first introduction, the first sentence of every paragraph. And by doing so, you're getting a look at what you're going to be expected to read. And from that, you're able to form goal questions. And goal questions are questions that you ask to make sure what you want to learn from this article that you are reading. The next thing is activating background knowledge. The activating prior knowledge is something that we do naturally as adult readers. As mature readers, we always relate to what we're reading to something we know. For example, I was going through the grocery store and I saw a book that said lose weight fast, and I thought about my prior knowledge and me struggling with trying to lose weight and how it never worked. So that grabbed my attention, so which caused me to be engaged with an article that I end up wanting to purchase the article and read it. So my questions that I had before I actually read the article is how did they lose weight fast? Because I was not able to do so. So that's how we activated our background knowledge with that. And how does it help a reader? It helps a reader to relate to the subject, just as I did with the grocery store experience. It helps the reader to become more engaged with the material. To relate in as many ways as possible is the best way to be engaged with your reading. And it increases your comprehension. Because when you make connection to the text you are reading, their comprehension will increase. Your comprehension will increase because of the fact you already have an idea as to what you're going to be reading about. Raise questions. Again, those goal questions that I did mention. We're going to raise goal questions by activating our prior knowledge. For example, the weight loss. So what questions may I have? How do you lose weight? How did they lose weight fast? And by forming goal questions will actually help the reader become more engaged with what they're reading. The second level is going to be the vocabulary connection. So after monitoring my reading breakdowns, I noticed that when I encounter complex words, I struggle to pronounce and or to understand the meaning of the words. And I would just skip over them because I felt as if I can't get the word. I need to know how to actually get these words. So we're going to go over some strategies that helped me a lot that I learned throughout the course on how to tackle some words. The first thing is context clues. Yeah, we're going to be a detective. We're going to read what we have. Read in between the lines. Read what's showing in the passage. So it's a clue within the passage that's helped the readers understand the meaning of unfamiliar words. For example, I worked overtime to replenish my now depleted savings account to prevent my husband from finding out I spent our savings. So two words in this actual sentence stick out. First one is going to be replenish, and the second one's going to be depleted. So now we could look at the context of this and say, okay, well, she actually worked overtime, so we know what happens when you work overtime, you get more money. So to replenish my now depleted savings. So why would she not want her husband to see that her savings account was was decreased, was lower? Well, because she spent it. So we can actually say that depleted means it's to spend. And replenish, so I'm working overtime, I replenish my savings account, which means I put back. And the second thing we can use is prefixes. The prefix is as a set of words. So the first word we have is impossible. Impossible will be the full word. The prefix is ein, which means not. So the base word is possible. So when you get the meaning of that whole word is not possible, which will actually correlate that the word impossible means not possible. In contrast. So we can look at words in contrast, which means difference, and so we can see what the meaning of the word is. So now everyone at the party was in a festive mood, eating, dancing, and singing at the holiday party. So we do so here that everyone was in a good mood, in a festive mood. So, and they were singing and they were dancing. So typically when someone's singing and dancing, they're in a good mood. So we could say that opposite of good is bad. So we're seeing that they're in a good mood. So the word festive, we can come to the conclusion that festive means they're in a happy mood, they're in a good mood. And now we're on stage 2, comprehension. This is a really big one. This is one that I struggled with. Finding the main topic. What is this article going to be about? That's what we want to find out. An example that I have here is sources of entertainment. You could have articles speaking on magazines, music, television, or news. So the main idea is the second one. The main idea is the point of the paragraph, the most important throughout the topic. So this is the important thing. This is the idea we're trying to get out to the reader. So now for the topic of sources of entertainment, a main idea could be, I love to listen to the radio more than any other sources of entertainment. So now we're going to move on to the supporting ideas. So support, we think of support, that's something to lift up, that's something to support what you're saying. So support is the proof of what supports the main ideas. So magazines, this is a support that we can support our main idea with, is that magazines are too costly. That's probably why I don't enjoy those. The news is too depressing. We've seen the news lately. We know there's nothing but depressing things going on these days. And television, I can never catch my favorite show because of my work hours. Okay. And so music, it makes me feel free, always available and free for me to listen to. So those are some supporting ideas that could support our main idea. And it correlates with our topic. So next we're going to go ahead and go on level 3, our applied knowledge, the knowledge that we learned. So we're going to go ahead and apply everything that we learned in this level. Paraphrasing. This is a good one. Paraphrasing. It's a shorten without leaving out any main points. If I called someone and they gave me a whole breakdown of what they did, and say if my husband were to ask me, what did Sue call for? I wouldn't say word for word what Sue called for. I would give my husband just the main ideas. Oh, Sue called to tell me she's going to be late to dinner. Anticipating text. Now, in order to anticipate text, you will have to be engaged with the text in order to anticipate. You're going to predict what's going to happen next. Predicting, if you're reading a story that Sue's going to end up falling, you're going to able to predict that based on what you've already read. And from that, you can form goal questions as to what more do you want to know. Clarifying and monitoring comprehension. We're going to find out the reasons why our reading break down. Is it because of vocabulary? Is it because it's confusing? Is it because of unfamiliar words? Is it because of concentration? Or is it because of theory? Now, if our comprehension breaks down because of vocabulary, we can always use our prefixes to break those words down. Now, if it's confusing, you can use your context clues to figure out what the sentence may mean. And if it's unfamiliar information, you can also use context clues. You can activate your prior knowledge as well on from unfamiliar information. Is it concentration? You can examine, is it because it's internal or is it external? Is the music too loud? Are the children too loud? Do I have too many things on my mind? And if there is too many things on your mind, what you can do, you could tell yourself, I'm gonna handle that later. I'm gonna put aside me having to fix dinner, worrying about work. I'm gonna focus on school, and that's another way to help with that. Now, theory is another good one. This is going over the theory there. It's unfamiliar. It's not about people. It's just theories. With that, you can definitely activate prior knowledge as well. So, on level 4, we analyze information. We look at inferences. Now, inferences is to conclude or to decide based on what you are seeing. So, we have a picture with a taller man, a little bit shorter, and is shorter than the previous child. So, we can make an inference that this is probably the dad and 2 kids, and that the one in the yellow is the younger brother. And you can also make inference that they're happy because you can see smiles on their face, and then they're well dressed, so we can make an inference that maybe they're going somewhere. The next one is relationships. We're not speaking of actual relationships here. We're speaking of sentence relationships here. So now there's different relationships. There's sequence. Our sequence is going to go over events and how the sentence relationships work. It's going to show events there. Addition, it adds similar information. So addition to would be a key word that helps with that. The contrast is going to show difference. It's going to show difference. And the cause, what caused it? The reason, it's what caused that to happen. So now we're going to look at paragraph patterns. Now patterns are arranged in a certain manner to where they follow patterns. So chronological order, it's going to go with time. It's going to go with sequence. So the listing, and you can list additional information. And one thing that's confused mostly is going to be chronological order and listing. Because of the fact that they do list information, it could possibly be confusing. Compare and contrast. We're going to look for differences. We're going to look for the keywords for differences, all that. So on level 5, we evaluated information. So first we start off, what's the purpose? What is the purpose for the writer to write this? Is it to persuade, meaning to get you to believe something? Is it to entertain, to make you laugh? Is it to inform you information? Now we went over facts versus opinion. Can the information be verified? Now, for example, I can say that the house next door to mine is yellow, and that's a fact because we can actually see that the house is yellow. Or an opinion may be, I think that chocolate ice cream is better than vanilla ice cream. So that would be the difference between facts and opinions, and we went through studying the difference between those two and finding those. And the next one is arguments. No, we're not speaking of arguments between a boyfriend and girlfriend. We're speaking about arguments and persuasive articles. So it's the author bias. Bias is meaning, are they leaning to one way? Do they have a hidden agenda? What is the author's purpose of writing the article? Why is he writing it? What evidence do the author have? Now, active readers, they're going to want to see some evidence. They're not going to take your word for it. They're going to say what they want to say, what they want to see to be able to make their conclusion on the argument. Like, for example, abortions is a controversial, highly controversial issue that we do have. So the author may say that abortions actually help. The active readers want to know, how do they help? Or vice versa, that abortions are not good for women. They want to know support from that. What is your evidence? So that concludes our presentation here. I hope you did enjoy it. I hope you learned a lot of information, because I did as well. And I just wanted to take the time and say gracias, or on the other hand, say thank you so much for listening to my presentation. And I look forward to seeing you in next English class. Thank you so much.